Liss, and the name of the program is The Way to Go. I invite you to join me each week at this time as we explore places to go and things to do. One of my favorite forms of entertainment is cabaret, and March is always Cabaret Month with a lot of things happening in cabaret, and so we're going to do a cabaret program, and we're lucky to have with us today a gifted performer, a singer, a songwriter. His name is John Forster. And John, I'm so glad that you could join me today and talk about cabaret and all the things that you do.
I'm delighted to be here.
So what is it that makes cabaret unique?
What is it? It's a good question. I think it's the intimacy. I mean, I think the relationship between a cabaret performer and the audience member is uniquely intimate. The space is almost always small. Mm-hmm. The material is always personal, I think, very personal.
So, and there's more to it than that, because when you go to even a large room where a cabaret performer is working, there is that intimate feeling. Mm-hmm. Does the type of material different for cabaret?
I think so. I think that cabaret material is always, there's a sense of I, the cabaret singer, am talking directly to you, no matter how big the room is, really. Yeah. I mean, I certainly know in what I do in cabaret, it's always very personal.
Now, you do other things beside cabaret. We're going to get into a lot of that today, and we're also going to have a chance to hear you perform during this program. Do you perform differently when you're doing cabaret as opposed to other forms of theater?
Well, actually, the only performing I do is cabaret, and so for me, it's not a question. But I write for a lot of other forms. I write theater. Had a show on Broadway, a couple of off-Broadway shows, and those so those are a completely different kettle of fish. I write differently for them.
And you produce, don't you?
Mm-hmm. I produce records.
Records.
Yes, I produce records for children. I produce all of Tom Chapin's records for children, and the Olsen twins. I don't know if you know who they are. They're 7-year-olds who have a 3-album deal with BMG, if you can believe it. But yeah, that's what I do. I think of that as my day job. But, it's actually true that children's material and the material that I do, which is very grown up, I mean, it's not really for children at all, in cabaret, are related in a way in the point of view that I bring to it.
But that's an interesting point that you make. You do things for children, and you also do things which is adult type of material. You do a lot of satirical material.
Mm-hmm, right.
And some of it perhaps isn't material that we could do on television. And yet you can do children's programs and this other type of material. Now, what you're going to perform today is some of the numbers that you wrote from your own recording called Entering Marion, about your trip through Massachusetts and the various towns you go into.
But we're not going to do that one today.
No, we're not going to do that one today. But the contrast between doing children's programming and sophisticated satirical, it seems to be like two personalities.
I do satire for kids too.
Oh, you do.
It's just choose the field differently, the purview, and I remove the sex and the violence, which I try to have as much of as possible in my adult material. But the take on it is the same. It has to have a certain energy. What makes a good song is a good song, whether it's for grown-ups or for kids. Definitely.
Well, maybe we ought to stop talking about your music and get some demonstration of one of your numbers. What are you going to perform for us first?
I'll do a song for you called Tone Deaf. I think of this as I shouldn't really blow the surprise of it by telling you the title, but it's too late now. It's when I was growing up, when a family gets into trouble these days, a lot of times they go into family therapy, and a lot of times it's called family systems therapy. And I've always thought that this is a great improvement, because when I was growing up, my family did not have a system. Or we had a system, it was a large family, and the system was sink or swim. So I think of this as being semi-autobiographical. 5, 6, 7, 8. His mama sang soprano at the Met. His dad was in the Juilliard Quartet. His brother played as well as Horowitz. His sister had a string of country hits, but he was tone deaf. He couldn't find his pitch. Tone deaf by some genetic glitch. He couldn't tell an E flat from an F, the bass from treble clef. He was tone deaf. They tested him for blockage or a broken chromosome. He finally got the message and ran away from home. He wandered sad and lonely till one night in Srinagar he met a fascinating lady sitting at a bar. Her mama was a prima ballerina. She had 3 sisters, each a brilliant Trina. Her dad was a hoofer extraordinaire. In fact, her godfather was Fred Astaire. But she had no sense of rhythm. She couldn't feel the beat. She had no sense of rhythm and 2 left feet. Her family danced, but when she joined in with them, ooh, the criticism, 'cause she had absolutely no sense of rhythm. From the start, these tortured souls were tunelessly in tune. They danced together clumsily, reciting Rod McEwen. And when they wed, their pain turned into never-ending sun. They had a bunch of children, and every single one was tone deaf and rhythmless combined, and also goofy looking, and also colorblind. The story has a moral that is very hard to knock. 2 black sheep is all it takes to start a flock.
Lots of applause.
That's silly.
Very silly and funny and cute. It brings to mind a little bit the song from Cabaret, Miss Kite, about these 2 ugly people who had a beautiful child. And,
it's true. Right, it's the flip side of that.
That's great.
That was a song, I wrote that a couple of years ago when I was about to do an engagement at 88's in the Village. And
you play there a lot, don't you?
I have played there quite a bit, yeah. I really like that room.
Yes,
it's a wonderful room, and Irv Rabel, who is one of the owners, just does a great job presenting all sorts of interesting people. And 2 shows a night, 7 days a week. It's really just a fabulous... It's like a factory of fine arts.
And they do such a great job in the production values that I see when you're there.
Absolutely. There's a fellow named Sean Haynes who just lit my show beautifully.
Yes.
He really took care and did a great job. Talk about intimate. It's a wonderfly intimate place.
I notice there and other places where I do go to see Cabaret that the performer frequently mingles with the audience afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
It's all part of that, isn't it?
I think of it as being that, yeah.
You just don't disappear into the wings and are never seen again, as it happens in so many other forms of theater.
Right. That's part of the intimacy of it. There is a sense that you... First of all, a lot of times in Cabaret, you know a lot of people in the audience, because the audience, that room, I think when it's packed to the gills, it'll hold 60 people. Mm-hmm. And but one of the great things is when it's got 15 people, it doesn't seem that empty because it's so small. So, and when you're doing a 10:30 show, a lot of times, if it's an extended engagement, there won't be that many people there. But the people who are there usually love it.
What happens when you work with a empty room where few people are there? It does happen.
Sure.
I was reading in the paper the other day an interview with a comic who has worked with 2 people, and sometimes he said he even worked when nobody was there.
Well, I won't do that. I draw the line somewhere.
But what happens when the room is empty? Does it affect what you're doing?
It affects it only in the sense that I say, okay, I'm doing it for you, and you, and you, and you. I use it if it's a small crowd. I did 2 shows with David Buskin at the Bottom Line about 3 weeks ago, and it was the coldest night of the year, and the people on the radio were saying, "Don't leave your homes, whatever you do," and people believed them.
Yeah.
And so the Late Show was very small, and it was fun. I just did it for the people who were there.
Yes.
And
So you adjust yourself to the audience.
yeah, sure.
Let's do another number now, and something maybe a little different.
Okay.
But then everything you do is different.
Well, that's one of the things about what I do is that nobody can quite get a beat on what the style of the music is, because to me the style of the music is part of the content of the music, and I choose the style to be part of what I'm saying.
Yeah, listening to your tape, I had that feeling that you were so many different people on it. They really couldn't say that's his style. So your style does change a lot. I was very conscious of that.
I think that's from the theater background, because in theater, I think of theater writers as having what I would call a super style, but in the case of, say, Cabaret, that show, Candor and Ebb chose, they were working in a certain kind of it sounded like Kurt Weill, the music.
Yes,
and
right.
So John Candor just adapted himself, or Jerry Bach in Fiddler on the Roof.
Yes.
The music has its sort of Eastern feel. So what I do is the same. It's if it's about Paul Simon, then I choose music that sounds like Paul Simon. Yeah.
So what are you going to do now?
Well, why don't I do, let's see, I think this is a song that is dedicated to my 4-year-old, Billy. And I wrote it because I write songs for kids. I realized that kids are forced to grow up very fast these days. And this is a song that has on its mind really that very issue, that kids have to grow up so fast. When I do this, by the way, in performance, I do it I have a little grand piano that is got 22 keys on it. And
Like a toy piano?
It's a toy piano. It sits on the ground. It's the Schroeder look. And so for here, because I have a lot more piano, I'll just use these 22 keys. But I choke in an interview. Bye-bye, future. Bye-bye, dream. Bye-bye, happy. Bye-bye, self-esteem. My epitaph will be, he hit his peak at 3 and then took 80 years to die. Bye-bye, future. Bye-bye. Oh no, another letter. Must be from my safety school. I'm breaking out in hives. I can't control my drool. They're reading, read. They're talking, say. They're laughing, oh. I think I'm on my way. Miss Porter's playgroup. What a proud boy am I. Hello, future. Hello, clout. Old boy network. That's what school's about. And years from now, when Time and Newsweek interview my sitter, she'll say early failures hurt him, yes, but did not leave him bitter. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. The sun is out and life is good. Hello, future. Hello.
A lot of people can relate to that one, I think.
It's kind of a New York song. It's a coastal song. And
Where does the inspiration come from? You say you have a 4-year-old.
yes, I wrote that before I had a 4-year-old. I think I wrote it in anticipation of having a 4-year-old. The best songs I've ever written about parenthood are songs I wrote before I was a parent. I mean, when you're a parent, it's too late.
Where does the inspiration come from normally on a song? How do you get started? What's the word go?
Well, I always start with, people say what comes first, the music or the lyrics. First comes the phone call. Actually, for me, first thing that comes is the idea. And I nurse ideas along for weeks, months, even years.
Really?
What I started to say about tone deaf actually was I thought of tone deaf 2 years before I wrote it. I just didn't have a reason to write it up. And but I sort of laid it all out and left it in a notebook. And I was doing this thing at 88, and I said, gee, I could use a song, that's just really light and fits in the cracks.
What do you mean by it starts with a phone call?
No, if you write songs for a living, somebody's got to call you up and say, I need a song. That's...
Oh, really? It does work that way.
It does work that way, yeah. I mean, when you've been around for a while and what you are as a songwriter, you find a lot of different ways to write songs. I mean, I write songs I don't do jingles. That's one thing that I've never gotten involved in, but I do songs for TV. I did a song for an NBC pilot last year.
But if you're doing songs on order, so to speak,
yeah,
and it takes you sometimes a while for the gestation period, can you produce a song?
Yeah, the ones on order don't take a long time. The ones that take the long gestation period are the ones that are for my act and the ones that are just something that I want to say. See, for me, in this kind of work, what usually happens is I have something that I want to say. I have a bee in my bonnet, something bugs me. And then I start reading up on it. I start noticing it in the papers. Political action committees. It's something that I just think is disgraceful.
And you jot it down and say, hey, someday I'm going to write a song on this. And you write some key lines perhaps on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then put it in the file, and then suddenly something sparks it, and it all comes together.
I have a rolling file that has songs in progress, and there's always about 25 songs in progress. And then a lot of times I never get to write them up, but a lot of times I just finally the time comes when I say, okay, now is the time to do that rap song about Bob Dole that I've been thinking of. And
you brought up the subject. Which comes first, the words or the music?
I think for me it's almost always the words.
Always the words.
Yeah. Because the music is, as I said, part of the content. And I decide what I want to say, and then I decide what kind of music will help me say that best.
Sometimes they have to come together. Certainly in the piece you just did, the music is a very important part. The fact that you do it on a toy piano or simulated toy piano, it has to, you kind of have to feel it when you're writing the words. I suppose.
And I couldn't really write that one until I got the toy piano, and I wrote it. The only song I've ever written on a toy piano.
Wasn't there a songwriter who used to tap out his melodies on a xylophone, a toy xylophone?
Bob Merrill.
Because he couldn't read music, couldn't write music.
Right.
And he would just tap it out and someone would listen to it and write down the notes.
Right. And I recall Burt Bacharach saying that he always wrote in his head with no harmony because he didn't want pretty harmony distracting him from finding a strong melody line. And Irving Berlin,
of course, with his transposing piano.
Right.
Yes.
I think as you go on, the best way to write songs is in your head.
Do you hear it? Do you actually hear it in your head?
Yeah.
I just want to point out at this point that today I'm speaking with John Forster, who is a singer-songwriter and cabaret performer, and he's visiting with us today because we're talking about cabaret, the fact that March is the time when the MAC showcase will be on, and the MAC Awards. MAC, by the way, if you're not aware, is the Manhattan Association of Clubs and Cabarets. Well, John, let's do another piece now. Let's hear something that's a little different, something in your vast repertoire of songs.
Okay, here's something that I never get to do the big ballads because I don't have a kind of a big ballad voice. But on my new album, which is out on Philo Rounder, plug.
And also had a very, very nice write-up in the February 14th issue of New York Magazine.
Right, that was nice. I was glad to hear the reviews are just kind of starting to come in, knock wood. They should all be like that. Christine Lavin, who is a wonderful acoustic performer, a folk performer, who helped me a great deal to get this record out, does a duet with me on the album. And I guess I don't really need to say much more about it, except that the impetus for this was how I feel about Michael Bolton songs. Let's see, let me find a good patch here. Okay. We do this as a duet on the album. I'll do it as a... Christine isn't here, so I'll do it by myself in a slightly truncated form.
That's very deep.
Thanks.
Now, the three numbers that you've performed here are all humorous. Mm-hmm. In Cabaret is not all humor because there are some pretty heavy ballets. And do you do only, I know you do satire, do you do anything serious?
Never. Actually, in Cabaret, I never do. I write plenty of serious songs, but I don't... it's something that it's the way I focus what I do as a live performer. I don't say I never will. But But for right now, I don't.
I notice when I go to the Mac showcases, and for people who don't understand, the Mac showcase is an opportunity for people. That's the Manhattan Association of Clubs and Cabarets and ASCAP join together and give songwriters an opportunity to showcase their material. Some perform their own. Some have performers who do it. The things that get the greatest reaction are the humorous pieces. And of course, when they plan the program, they always intersperse some of the ballads with the humor. But the humor gets the reaction.
I think it's easier with a good piece of material, it's easier to score in a short time with humor. If you're mainly a serious performer, it's usually more effective if the audience is with you for an hour and you take them on a ride. And they get to know you, and you build them up to a climax.
So the pace is very important then in what you're doing. Now, this last number that you did, the lyrics are light and funny, but the music is not.
Right. The music is, if you hear it on the album, you hear that I chose to produce it as a kind of adult contemporary, very digital, very a lot of the sounds that you hear on Whitney Houston records and the sounds that are around now, because that was part of the comment that I wanted to make. Not about that music. That music is great. It just seemed to work well from what I was trying to say.
Do you bring humor into other things that you do as well? I mean, you say that the children's records that you do.
The children's records are all humor.
All humorous.
Yeah, or almost all. Because with children's records, what I try to do is make sure that the parents have a good time too. Because for any of you out there who are parents, you know that when your kid gets onto a children's record, you have to listen to it again and again and again. And so try to make sure that they're adult safe is what I...
That's a good adult safe. You mean that the adult doesn't suffer too much.
That's right.
Is basically what you're talking about.
Quite the opposite. The idea is that the adults have as good a time as the kids.
Yeah.
But the other thing is I come from a big family, and we have an annual Christmas party where all the cousins and everybody comes, and there's kids all over the place. And what I find that the kids really like the grown-up satirical stuff too. It's
important to do that, and it's important at this point to say that we've run out of time. And I appreciate that you came here today and told us about your work and cabaret. My guest today has been John Forster, who is a singer-songwriter who does adult music and children's music and performs at 88's and other places. I'm Norman Liss. The name of the program is The Way to Go. And until next week at this time, enjoy yourself.